a thief who is known to steal secrets from people's minds, while they are asleep, assembles a team to help him with yet another mission, but this time for one that is known to be impossible. An old man named Dom Cobb is lying unconscious by the seashore. When he opens his eyes, he sees two kids playing in front of him. Suddenly, a gunman comes after him and takes him to the seaside palace of an old man. The old man offers him food and tells him that he has seen him before, maybe in a half-remembered dream. This is when the man gets a flashback where Cobb and his partner Arthur meet a famous businessman, Saito. They introduce themselves as extractors who use experimental dream-sharing technology to steal information from people's minds by sharing dreams with them, and they want to train Saito to defend himself against this kind of attack. Initially, Saito is unimpressed with Cobb's idea and says he will consider their proposal. Later that night, Cobb and Arthur come into Saito's dream and try to steal information from his mind. Cobb meets his late wife Mal in the dream and tells her that he can't trust her anymore. He then sneaks inside Saito's mansion and steals the information. However, Mal betrays him by informing Saito, which results in Arthur getting captured. Cobb then kills Arthur in the dream, causing him to wake up in real life. He manages to escape after fighting Saito's men and reads the hidden information while Arthur dunks him into the bathtub to wake him up. At the same time, Saito wakes up and finds himself tied down by Cobb and Arthur, who interrogate him about the remaining piece of information. This is when Saito realizes that they are still in a dream and is impressed with Cobb's ability to layer multiple dreams within each other. When he actually wakes up from his dream, he finds out that the two men are long gone. After his failed attempt, Cobb tries to escape from the country with Arthur, but Saito catches up to them. He then offers to hire Cobb to perform Inception, which is an impossible job of implanting an idea in a person's subconsciousness. With Cobb's help, he wants to plant the idea of dissolving his father's company in Robert's mind, who is the son of Saito's business competitor Maurice Fisher. In return for this job, Saito promises to clear Cobb's criminal status and dissolve any charges against him permanently, allowing him to return home to his children. Cobb accepts Saito's offer, who orders him to assemble his team wisely this time. Cobb and Arthur travel to Paris in search of an architect for his team. There, Cobb meets his ex-father-in-law and asks for his help to find a good architect to design the dream's architecture, something Cobb himself cannot do because of fear of being sabotaged by his mind's projection of his late wife Mal. He introduces him to a college student named Ariadne. Cobb teaches her the basics of dream building in one of their dream-sharing sessions, and Ariadne is attacked by Mel in the dream. She feels threatened by the problems Cobb tries to bury in his dreams and leaves. Cobb tells Arthur that she will come back and asks him to train her with dream architecture, while he travels to Mombasa to meet his old friend Eames, who is a dream forger. Cobb meets Eames in a bar where he tells him that Inception is possible, but is very difficult to achieve. It can be achieved by letting a simple idea grow naturally. Cobb asks Eames if he has performed it before, to which Eames replies that he did, but they failed. Eames asks Cobb to get a chemist and suggests Yusuf's name, who is a chemist that formulates his own version of medicines. Suddenly, Cobb is encountered by his previous contractor, who chases him, but he is eventually rescued by Saito. Eames joins them and they leave. On the other side, Ariadne comes back and Arthur trains her with the designing of dream mazes. They also discuss Cobb's fear that stops him from building dreams that developed because of the betrayal of his late wife Mal. Arthur reveals that Mal is dead, and the lady she met in their dream is a projection of Cobb's subconsciousness. Back in Mombasa, Cobb, Saito, and Eames meet the chemist Yusuf and convince him to develop a sedative powerful enough to create a 3-layered dream. Cobb tries it himself but wakes up after seeing Mal in his dream. Soon, Cobb and his team, along with Saito, begin to formulate a plan on how to put the idea in Robert Fisher's mind. They aim to target Peter Browning, the right hand of Robert Fisher. Later, Ariadne comes to meet Cobb, and they discuss the totem, which is a unique and personal item that can be used to distinguish a dream from reality. They talk a bit about Cobb's fear of Mal sabotaging his dream, which no other member knows much about. When Ariadne asks him why he can't return home, Cobb reveals that everyone thinks he killed her and leaves. The next day, Cobb and his team meet to plan the Inception. and they plan to sedate Robert Fisher into a 3-layer dream on a private 10-hour flight from Sydney to America that he takes every 2 weeks. The time in each layer of the dream runs slower than the layer above, so one member will stay behind on each to perform a music-synchronized kick to awaken dreamers on all 3 levels simultaneously. Saito buys the airline Robert Fisher is traveling with in order to avail complete 10 hours for their mission. At night, Ariadne finds Cobb alone and infiltrates one of Cobb's private dreams. In his dream, she sees that he has created a prison of memories to trap his projection of Mal. He shows Ariadne his and Mal's house and their children on different floors of his memory. Ariadne tries to know more about Mal by visiting the floor with the hotel suite where Cobb and Mal used to celebrate their anniversary. However, Cobb takes her back to reality before Mal can attack her. Hold on. Do you like the recap so far? Make sure to hit the subscribe button to unlock more awesome videos. As they wake up from the dream, Saito and Arthur come there with the news of Maurice Fisher's death, and it is time for the operation to begin, as Robert Fisher will be taking his father's dead body from Sydney to Los Angeles. Ariadne insists on coming with Cobb and warns him that he won't be able to keep Mal contained in his memories. The next morning, Cobb and his team board the flight along with Robert Fisher. Before boarding, Cobb reminds Saito of their deal, and Saito assures him that his one phone will get the job done. During the flight, while expressing condolences to Robert, Cobb sedates him on the first level and his team abducts him. However, their attempt fails and they are attacked by Robert's subconscious projections. Saito gets wounded in the dream after getting shot, but Cobb and his team manage to escape to a warehouse. Here, it is revealed that Robert Fisher was receiving training from an extractor to protect himself against dream infiltration, which is why his subconsciousness is militarized and his dream guards attacked Cobb's team. Cobb gets angry at Arthur for not knowing this, as it was his responsibility to research Robert Fisher's life and compile the details. Now, the team decides to kill Saito to wake him up, but Cobb reveals that with the level of sedation they are in, if they die in the dream, they will fall into limbo, which is a raw world of infinite subconsciousness. Cobb tells them that they will have to complete their mission as soon as possible so they can save Saito's life. The team soon gets back to their mission, and Cobb interrogates Robert with a masked face about the combination of his father's private safe. Robert refuses to know anything about the safe. Then, Eames adopts Robert's right hand, Peter Browning, gets up and acts as if he is being abused. Cobb brings him to Robert, and he tries to learn the combination from Robert. Robert again refuses to know anything about it and says that the last word his father told him was disappointment. While Eames tries to introduce the idea of dissolving his father's company to Robert, Ariadne and Cobb discuss Saito's condition. Ariadne asks Cobb about limbo, and Cobb reveals that he and Mal entered limbo while experimenting with a dream-sharing experience. They spent about 50 years in one night of limbo before waking up to reality by committing suicide under the train. Even after coming back to reality, Mal used to believe that they were still dreaming and thought suicide was the only option to come back to reality. On the night of their anniversary, attempting to wake up, Mal kills herself by jumping off the building while forcing Cobb to do the same. Before killing herself, Mal wrote a fake letter to her attorney, stating that Cobb wanted to kill her and mistreated her. After Mal's death, Cobb had no option left except to flee the US, leaving his children behind, and since then, he has been trying to earn his way back. Cobb returns to Robert with a masked face and again forces him to tell the combination to his father's safe, and this time, Robert tells them the code. Suddenly, Robert's dream guards attack Cobb's team, and they all get into a van along with Robert to escape from there. Yusuf drives the van around the first level, while he sedates the rest of the members to the second level of the dream. The second level of the dream takes place at a hotel dreamed by Arthur. Here, Cobb adopts the same technique on Robert which he practiced on Saito. He offers Robert to train him against people trying to steal information from his dream. He assures him that he is the defensive projection of his subconsciousness and is here to protect him. Luckily, Robert gets persuaded and starts believing that he has been kidnapped by his uncle Peter Browning, who is hiding something important from him. Cobb tells Robert that they need to get into Browning's subconsciousness and find out what he doesn't want him to know. Here, Robert thinks they are going into Browning's subconsciousness when in reality they lead Robert another third level deeper as part of a ruse to enter his subconscious. This time, Robert himself joins Cobb's team to fight against his own subconsciousness unknowingly. Arthur stays behind in the second level of the dream. On the third level of the dream, Cobb and his team infiltrate an alpine fortress where Eames leads the projection, defending the fortress away. However, Yusuf performs his kick too soon by driving off a bridge because of repeated attacks of dream guards, and the team misses their respective kicks. Arthur and Eames are forced to improvise a new set of kicks, synchronized with them hitting the water by rigging an elevator and the fortress respectively with explosives. Cobb orders everyone to complete their mission quickly, as they are short of time. Saito and Robert sneak into the fortress where the Inception can be performed, while Cobb and Ariadne provide cover to them from outside. Saito's gun wound from the first level starts affecting him, and Robert has to go ahead in the fortress alone. But before he can open a locked door, Mal shows up and kills him. Cobb fails to shoot her in time and accepts that their mission has failed, as both Saito and Robert are now lost in limbo after dying in the third level. Refusing to give up, Ariadne gives an idea to Cobb that they should go into limbo as well, where they will have enough time to complete their mission. It means that they will now proceed to the unplanned level 4 of the dream, where they will perform Robert's Inception. Cobb and Ariadne go into limbo and wake up at a seashore. Cobb shows Ariadne the world where he lives with Mal and warns her about how a simple seed of an idea can destroy a person in limbo. They finally find Mal, and Cobb reveals that to wake Mal from limbo, he put an inception in her mind that her world is a dream, but the inception went in too deep, making her believe that her real world is also a dream, which ultimately leads to her death. Mel refuses to let them take Robert and attacks Cobb, but Ariadne shoots Mal and wakes Robert up with a kick. At the same time, Arthur and Eames try hard to complete their kicks in time, as everything starts to collapse. Ariadne urges Cobb to come with her, but he chooses to stay in limbo to find Saito and is still lost after dying from his gun wound. On the other hand, Robert revives in the third level of the dreams and discovers the planted idea of his dying father, telling him to create something for himself. As the van hits the water, Cobb makes peace with Mal's perception and leaves her behind. Cobb then searches for Saito in limbo, while the other members ride the synced kicks back to the first level. Eames, camouflaged as Peter Browning, stays with Robert to confirm if the Inception worked in limbo, and it turns successful when Robert says that he will start his own company. In limbo, aged Cobb is found on a seashore by a gunman who takes him to the seaside palace of an old man. It is the same scene with which the movie started. Now here it is revealed that this old man is Saito, who has aged because of the time lapse in limbo. Cobb reminds Saito of their agreement and asks him to come with him so that they can be young men again. Suddenly, Cobb and all the dreamers wake up on the plane 20 minutes before landing. Cobb checks on everyone if they are fine and feels relieved to see everyone awake. As they arrive at the airport, Saito makes a phone call and dissolves all the charges against Cobb as promised, allowing him to pass all the immigration checkpoints. Cobb's father-in-law comes to pick him up at the airport and accompanies him to his home. After arriving home, Cobb uses Mal's totem, which is a top that spins indefinitely in a dream, to test if he is indeed in the real world, but forgets to observe the result after seeing his children. The movie ends with Cobb meeting his children while the totem keeps spinning on the table. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check our other recaps as well.